Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be reviewing Butterick pattern 6765, which is the ladies blouse with a wrap detail in the front. So if you're interested in seeing that, then stay tuned. Let's talk about the pattern. So this is Butterick 6765, which is a pattern that comes in basically 3 views. The first view, or view A, is sleeveless with a tie front and a longer shirt. View B is a long sleeve with a tie front and longer shirt. And view C is a cap sleeve, a short sleeve, the tie front and a shorter skirt. So the differences between like the tie fronts, this tie front kind of drapes lower than the front of the skirt, and this tie front doesn't drape. The bottom of the main blouse drapes lower than the tie front. So I wanted this view and I wanted the short sleeves, so this is the view that I made. I cut size 12. The fabrics that you can use include georgette, crepe, stable knits, cotton blends, crepe de chine, and it says unsuitable for obvious diagonals. The notions that you need include 1 package of single fold bias tape and 1 3/8 inch button for the back. And this is the line drawing. This is the one I drew, view C. So that was all well and good. It's rated easy, and I think I would agree with that rating. The instructions are all on 3 pages, including the pages where you have the fabric layout. There are only, let's see, for view C you only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So not a lot of pieces at all. And the amount of yardage you would need for size 12 includes 2 yards if you had a 45-inch width and 1 5/8 yards if you had a 60-inch width. Pretty straightforward. The instructions were very straightforward. You are required to make a lot of narrow hems for the tie pieces in particular. Just to finish the ends of the ties, you make narrow hems along most of the sides of the front overlays. You just have to sew the front overlays to the front piece of the blouse to make that effect. Again, with the opposite tie, you'll need to do a narrow hem around that. The shirt closes with a button close, so you'll just need to sew the back pieces together to a point, and then above that it'll be open, and you'll have to do a narrow hem above that point. And instead of a facing for this one, you sew a bias tape around the neck edge. And for the armhole, you are, if it's sleeveless, is bias tape, but for my shirt, it was a cap sleeve, and you have to kind of ease stitch the cap sleeve. So my cap sleeve it turned out bigger than the armhole. So when I did the ease stitching, I did have to gather it a little bit between these 2 points. I don't know if it's because my fabric was crinkly, which I'll talk about in a second, or what. But I did gather a little bit between that in order for the sleeve to fit. And the 2 sleeves, the gathering was not quite the same. So that's why I'm thinking the fabric may have affected how the piece was cut. But anyway, so you'll sew the sleeve together, and then you'll stitch it into the armhole, and you'll narrow hem the lower edge of the sleeve and narrow hem the lower hem of the top, and you're done. So this pattern I think is pretty easy for a beginner, and it came together really nicely. Let's talk about the fabric that I used. I used a crinkle rayon fabric, and so the fabric, I guess, naturally has some crinkles in it. So when I was laying it out and pinning it to the pattern, I don't know if I should have stretched it as wide as possible or just let it naturally fall how it fell, but I do think this fabric affected how accurately I was able to cut the pattern. But I do still like the fabric. It's nice. I got it from Joann, and I like the print, so I do think, however, that affected how it came out. The construction, like I said, went pretty well. I do think it fit a little big for me, for my taste. I did wear it to work one day and it just felt big over time, especially the tie front kind of draped loosely. I feel like the bust area could have been a little tighter, and I think that if I had cut a smaller piece, the tie could have cinched better, because now if I cinch, I'm pulling the shorter tie closer to get it closer to fit my waist. But if it was a smaller size, maybe it wouldn't have done that. But anyway, this is the shirt. One of the first things that I noticed is that when I did the narrow hem on the tie, the overlay, the fabric kind of curled up. So it didn't kind of lay flat. So it doesn't lay flat. It kind of pokes out this way. The seam or the hem kind of falls this way. So it's not looking, exactly the best. And I don't know if it's a factor of the crinkles that were in this fabric or the fact that it's just the narrow hem made it do that. I don't know if I could have done it better, but that is one thing that I noticed. On this tie front, it didn't crinkle as much, so maybe I did do a better job, or didn't curl up as much. It looks, much flatter, if you can see that. It lays flat, as opposed to this narrow hem. It doesn't lay flat, it's wavy. So that's one thing that I noticed. And with the neckline, again, the bias tape kind of causes the neckline to poke out. It doesn't lay flat on my neck when I'm wearing it. Even laying here, it pokes out. So I don't know, again, if that's the fabric or if it's how I sewed it, but that's what happened. Then I have the button in the back. That fits pretty good. The other thing is, again, I had to ease the sleeves into the shirt. And this sleeve, I feel like had more pleating than this one. And I probably didn't ease it exactly the same, but this actually has a little pleat in there. They have, kind of different looks, so that's probably on my end. I could have done the easing a little better just to make them look similar at the end of the day. But the narrow hems on the sleeves, they look okay on both sides. And the bottom looks okay as well. I will say that the ends of the overlay in the shirt front did not line up exactly. I think like the pattern showed. So the overlay kind of went past the front of the shirt just slightly. But since this was supposed to be longer than the shirt, I think that was fine. Other than that, I think the pattern went pretty well. I guess there were things that I could have improved on. I don't know if I used a different fabric, if some of the issues that I had would improve, but I do like it. I would probably cut a smaller size if I did this one again. I also think that I would like this shirt without the overlay. You don't find a lot of short sleeve blouses. It's either long sleeve or no sleeve. So I really like the fact that this is a short sleeve blouse, and I would consider making this, without the overlay and just have a simple blouse to wear. So let me know in the comments if you've made this pattern. What did you think about it? And if you have any ideas about some of the issues that I had, if you have any suggestions or tips and tricks. Thanks for watching.